So, I was asked an interesting question by actually my dad. And he was asking me about, an autism charity that he was considering donating to. And he was asking for my advice about, like, what charity should I donate to? What autism charity should I donate to? There are lots of charities and organizations and stuff run by both autistic and non autistic people. Um, and generally speaking, um, there are there are some guidelines to look for. There are only a few that I know of, so there are only a few that I can recommend or warn against. But generally speaking, there are some guidelines that I can direct people to. To start with, the charities that I would actively recommend include ASAN, Autistic Self Advocacy Network. I would recommend them. They seem to have a very solid track record, and they're respected within the autistic community and outside of the autistic community, and they are autistic led. IASC, International Association of Spelling is Communication, which is directed primarily at non-speakers who may or may not be on the autism spectrum. They're a good one too. Neuroclastic, which I know I'm a bit biased towards them because I love them very, very much. But Neuroclastic, which is sort of a media platform for autistic content creators of all kinds, primarily but not exclusively literature, non-fictional literature, and infographics describing the autistic experience for those who are not informed or for those who are also autistic. Those I would warn against include Autism Speaks, which has a truly sordid history of slandering the autistic community, referring to autism as a disease, saying that vaccines cause autism, and saying that autism needs to be cured, as well as promoting other pseudoscientific treatments, and putting the majority of their money, of their spending, towards lobbying rather than actually helping autistic children. And putting a very large allocation of funds, time, and energy towards the parents and families of autistics rather than autistics themselves. Autism Speaks is better now as an organization, but that does not mean that we as autistic people or as non-autistic allies should donate to them, especially considering that they have not made up their relationship with the autistic community. They have not made up for it. Also, I'd add to that, Autism Society of America is on the no-go list because they have promoted various very harmful, pseudoscientific, not evidence-based treatments for autism, such as chelation therapy. Rain Man, which is a movie that very stereotypically and disrespectfully portrays autism and autistic people. One of the people who worked for Autism Society of America actually was an advisor for Rain Man. And another thing is that Ole Ivor Lovas, who was a horrible man who founded the practice of ABA, which is an extremely misguided and abusive treatment that is thankfully falling out of favor in the autism world. Ole Ivor Lovas was the founder of ABA, and he was also one of the top dogs, if you will, in the Autism Society of America. So yes, I would caution you strongly against those two organizations. In general, when looking for a good organization, when looking for an organization that seeks to help rather than harm autistic people, you will want to look for the following. Number one, you will want to make sure that autistic people are on the board, in the leadership, or actively involved in the organization, that autistic people are actively involved in the organization, and that, number two, the autistic community speaks well of the organization. The autistic community if the autistic community is taking services from a certain organization, then yes, autistic people have to hold positive views of that organization and say, yes, this organization aligns with who we are and what we want and what we need. And then thirdly, I'd add on to that make sure they're not talking about curing autism, or talking about things like ABA or other very harmful behaviors that have been directed at autistic people, or behavioral treatments or pseudoscientific treatments. Make sure they know their stuff. Make sure they really know their stuff if they really are going so far as to promoting a certain treatment for autism. And make sure they are not talking about curing autism, and they are not talking about making autistic children present or socialize, especially in a more normal manner. Yes, I do understand that developing occupational skills throughout one's lifespan is necessary for people of all neurotypes, and this includes autistic people. And the way in which this is presented for autistic people may be different than the way it is presented for non-autistic people. But trying to make autistic children socialize in a normal manner is a killer, is a psychological, emotional killer of autistic kids and autistic youth, and it has to stop. And so, yeah, overall, that is my general advice as to which charities and organizations to donate to and which charities and organizations to refrain from. Thanks for watching.